Hello, and welcome back to God Bless Fantasy Football, episode 5. I believe it is 5.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Today's just me and Andrew. Cam's out, so we're just going to do our typical show without Cam interrupting us, which is fine.
Cam, you suck. Hey, Brandon, that's not nice, man. Come on. Cam, I'm sorry. I got your back. I hope he gets a flat tire.
Please, not again.
Now, everything looked good, huh, this week in fantasy?
Yeah, we won. Last week we have our first loss, but that's just because...
That's all right. It happens.
It happens.
You're supposed to lose. Not supposed to be undefeated.
I mean, it would have been nice, but we also got hit with the injury bug.
I think a lot of people did. I really do believe a lot of people did. And we saw reports come out after Monday Night Football, and we knew it was coming, that Justin Jefferson had that lingering hamstring injury that prevented him from finishing that football game. And he has landed on the IR, which means Jordan Addison is about to explode. So those that have been either saving Addison on the bench because he's had a couple of slower weeks. Last week, he found the end zone, but now he's going to put up wide receiver 1 numbers, because what does Kirk Cousins like to do? He likes to throw the football.
Yes.
And he likes to have surefire receivers catching that football, and Jordan Addison is one of them. So expect him to be slotted up in DFS leagues and your everyday regular fantasy leagues as wide receiver 1s moving forward until Justin Jefferson returns.
You also can get KJ Osborne too. He's probably going to get this week more of the catches because he's been in the offense longer than Addison has, because they usually have only been using Addison in 11-man personnel. So you get Osborne too. He's not in that many leagues either. So either of them will be fine. I mean, if you have Hawkinson, it's also kind of good for you too, because he's going to get a lot of the catches.
And he was going to get his touches regardless. But no, I don't hate the KJ Osborne ad. I'd be curious to know how many people actually own KJ Osborne. I can't imagine it's over 20% of leagues.
21% of leagues.
Well, there it is. I was pretty spot on there.
Pretty close. So there was that. And then James Conner went out. He might be heading to IR. They don't know yet.
Yeah, that one was a weird one too. Knee, if I remember correctly. And you know what's funny? I looked up the Cardinals depth chart yesterday because I didn't know who the backup was. Could you tell me another running back in the Arizona running back room?
If I didn't look it up before the show, no.
Okay. So you know the guy.
I do know the guy now, but I could not have told you who their other running back would have particularly been.
The last backup running back I remember is Eno Benjamin. That was the last one that I remember, and he's not there anymore.
Wow.
Eno, where did he end up? What did he have contract issues over the offseason? Is that why he's not a part of that team? Was it a mental thing? It was something weird. It wasn't injury.
No, it wasn't. I don't exactly remember why. That's just because you think of, the Cardinals running back isn't the first thing you think of.
Mm-hmm.
It's you think of, at the time, it was, I guess, D-Hop and
Hollywood, but Amari DiMercato seems to be like the ad of the week.
Yeah, he's less than 1%, I think.
And it's somebody that even when James Conner went out, it fell under the radar. So a lot of people out there may not know that James Conner is actually hurt for a decent time, like a point in time now in the season to where you're like, okay, this guy has been doing nothing for me.
Mm-hmm.
The easiest drop in the world to get a guy like DiMercato who's going to slot up as RB1. And he found the end zone last week too. 10 carries, 45 yards. It's a pretty good stat line for somebody that is a backup to James Conner, who, as we know, just completely eats in that offense. And DiMercato's, you'd have to expect, is going to eat just as much as Conner with the names that they have up and down their depth chart.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's their third down back. And that they like to go their running backs on third down. So, you're guaranteed to get those touches with that offense.
By the way, I have Justin Jefferson, who we talked about, and James Conner in leagues. So,
yeah, so
in the same league.
So we have James Conner and another one of our guys that we were high on, Mr. Achane.
Yep, Devin Achane. And he kind of just sprouted up on the injury chart out of nowhere. Because even watching ESPN this morning, they were showing highlights. They were going through the injuries. And the only highlights they had of Achane were just his runs throughout the game. It wasn't the injury highlight. Like, when you see Jefferson hobble off the field, or, whoever else Anthony Richardson got injured. He injured his throwing shoulder, which is really bad. Yeah. I think that could be horrible for him. Not only for the rest of this season, but moving forward. That's a bad injury to have as a quarterback. And plus, he's missing 4 out of the first 5 weeks of football because of injuries.
Yeah.
Not great. Not a great start to your NFL career. But going back to what we were talking about with Achane, it just kind of popped up out of nowhere. I don't really know where the injury happened or where he tweaked. Was it his knee too?
It was his knee also.
So we'll see. Raheem Mostert, though, can be fired up as RB1 if Achane misses time.
And Jeff Wilson Jr.
I don't know. I mean, coming off the IR, I don't know.
They like to split the carries there.
Yeah, but I get it with Mostert and Achane, because Achane offered you something that neither Wilson and Mostert are kind of similar running backs. Little bit of the same style, but Achane offered you like that explosiveness, that almost as if, when you give, like, it's like giving a kid some sugar, right?
Yeah.
Right. You give a kid sugar, and what do they just want to do? Run in circles, right? Just run all over the place until they crash. That was kind of what Achane was to that offense. It was somebody that you could hand the ball off to, and you knew an explosive play was about to come. I don't know if Jeff Wilson can be that guy for Raheem Mostert, because I think they're too similar.
Yeah, and Wilson's up there also in age too, and that sadly is a factor in running backs. But I mean, Achane was averaging 33 points. That's a lot that's going to come out of your team.
It is, but you also have to remember Jeff Wilson isn't going to just get into the lineup right now. Like, he just got his practice window opened, and he's missed all this time so far. It's going to take some time for him to regather himself, to reinsert himself. So Raheem Mostert is going to be somebody that you can absolutely expect to touch the ball 20 to 30 times next week.
Yeah, he's going to be good. So, I mean,
I feel like we just keep talking about injuries, but there's so much to talk about.
It's like you said, this year's kind of the year. Sadly, that's injuries, and it's
what Tank Dell also left in concussion protocol.
Yep.
On Sunday too. It just was one thing after another. If you watch NFL Red Zone out there, which if you don't, I highly recommend that you do.
Red Zone's a great purchase.
It was just, this guy got injured. That guy got injured. And I'm like, Scott Hansen, stop.
Yeah. It just sucks because, like, I mean, Kelsey, I don't know. I mean, he came back and played, but he's not going to be 100%. I think it was a quad.
No, it was an ankle sprain. It's just a low, though, not a high. The high would have been a lot worse. If you remember, high ankle sprains have really limited McCaffrey in his career and have kept him out for at least 4 weeks, which tends to what a high ankle sprain does. This was just a low ankle sprain, so thank goodness that's all it was. But it brought back up the discussion of, why aren't we playing on grass?
That's going to be
because it's those injuries where you just step wrong and boom, you go down. It didn't look nice, though. I'll tell you what. Did not look nice.
Yeah. I mean, another team, your Bears,
dealing
with injuries too.
Yeah.
My Vikings are too.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for informing me. Again. Jerk.
I don't even know, like, what is there even to recap? It was just injuries.
Well, not only that, there's some good that came out of the week. Like, I've been high on Tajay Spears for a while. I love rookies. And if I didn't state that already once on this show, I'm stating it again. I love rookies. And even with Derrick Henry controlling that backfield, Tajay Spears looks really good.
He's barely controlling the backfield, though. Like, only by like 6% more.
But he looks really good.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm really starting to like from Spears, because you can kind of start seeing that, if Derrick Henry stays on the ride that he's on right now, he may get phased out. Call it a bold prediction or not, he could get phased out by Spears.
I mean, he does his last year on his contract, so yeah.
That's what I'm saying. If Spears can continue to produce as he is right now, let's just take a peek at what his stat line was. He ran 7 carries for 34 yards. That's roughly 5 yards a carry. That's good in the National Football League, especially from a rookie, that's really good. He found the end zone for the first time in his career. What else does he do? He catches balls out of the backfield. He had 4 catches on 5 targets for 35 yards. That stat line right there is startable from a backup running back. That's startable in leagues. That's all you need. You get 3 points on the ground. You get the touchdown. That's 9. If you're in a PPR league, that's another 4. You're at 13 plus the 3 receiving yards. Now you're at 17. If you add the decimals in, you're about at 18 points. That was an 18-point week from Tajay Spears if you started him. Nobody did, but still, that's what he offers. He's got such a tremendous skill set. The kid out of Tulane is the real deal.
Yeah, he's gonna be good. It's gonna be interesting to see where they go going forward because they like to run the ball, I guess, when it gets cold outside. So you never know.
Now,
it's a weird thing.
Guys you can drop, Tutu Atwell. He's still 60% owned, roster owned. 2 catches, 9 yards, but one of those catches was a touchdown for like 3 yards. So he did have a fantasy day that was, we'll call it sustainable, right? A sustainable fantasy day. But talk about a guy getting phased out, it's him. Puka still looked great. But Cooper Kupp just slotted up right away where Puka was. And Puka is going to be a better Tutu Atwell when Cooper Kupp wasn't playing. Tutu Atwell, just find your way to the bench. Find your way to free agent. Like, if you could have traded Tutu Atwell, it would have been after week 3 when he put up we'll call it 18 fantasy points. He had a touchdown, 50 yards, ran the ball for 22 yards that week. But he's somebody that's just going to get lost in this mix. It's going to Puka. It's going to Cooper Kupp. That's who Matt Stafford wants to target. That's who he will target. So we're at the point now where you can feel comfortable dropping Tutu Atwell.
And then another team that needs wide receivers will have wide receivers this week. Mike Williams is out for the Chargers. So would you rather have Quentin Johnson or Joshua Palmer?
Joshua Palmer.
Yeah, I knew you'd say that. You don't like Quentin Johnson that much.
Well, and that's actually not true. I like Quentin Johnson as a player. He just hasn't performed yet at the NFL level like people thought he was going to perform. Did that make a lot of sense? That sentence may not have made a lot of sense.
It makes sense. But
Quentin Johnston is somebody with a lot of talent. He just needs to get up to NFL speed. Right now, he's caught up in the transition period from college to pro. But Josh Palmer's already there. Joshua Palmer already has a rapport built up with Justin Herbert. And when Keenan Allen was out last year, who was the guy that stepped up? It wasn't DeAndre Carter. It was Joshua Palmer. So he's kind of been old reliable in moments like this for Justin Herbert. I prefer Palmer.
Who else? I mean, Dawson Knox has a wrist injury. So,
I love Dalton Kincaid, but they're just not using him in the offense like they should. Like, he's such a dynamic tight end, and he doesn't play like an average NFL tight end because he's not as stocky. He's more built like a vertical threat. So why they aren't using him like that, I won't know.
The first couple of weeks, he was doing really well. He was getting his catches. He was getting 4 or 5 catches a game, not nothing crazy yardage wise, maybe 20 or 30 yards a game. But it was okay, maybe they're going to use him, and then they dialed it back. Now also they played the Dolphins, so they're having to go to their guys that game and stuff like that. So that also could be a factor,
right? Yeah. So in another league, okay, here's a question to you.
Okay.
So this is a standard point league. Is it PP? It may be half point PPR, but that doesn't matter for this question. I need a quarterback.
Okay.
Anthony Richardson was my quarterback. Deshaun Watson is the backup that I have on the bench. Anthony Richardson, though, obviously out and could be out long term because he sprained his AC joint, and all you can really read is he's going to miss time.
Yeah.
Well, Deshaun Watson's coming back from injury, but he is in line to play. So I have my option right now in him. But I was looking at the free agent list, and 2 guys stand out to me.
Okay.
The first, Trevor Lawrence is a free agent in my league. He's a waiver, so I'd have to use it. But somebody just dropped Trevor Lawrence. Now, you gave me the eyebrow raise, and that's kind of how I looked at it too when I first saw it. But if you really look at his fantasy production in this league, I'm going to read you his first 5 weeks of football from week 1 to week 5.
Okay.
18.74, 9.24, 15, 16, 15. I left the decimals out because it doesn't matter. So he got below his projection in his first 5 weeks. He was projected 17 points, 18 points, never touched that number.
Okay.
Right? And in week 1, when he did get 18, he was projected 19 because he was playing Indy's defense, who is, I think, 10th best for quarterbacks to play against. And then I looked at the rest of the year. He plays Indy again next week. So that could be a good play. But then it's the Saints, good defense. The Steelers, good defense. Bye. 49ers, Tennessee, both good defenses. 49ers, I mean, I don't know if they're going to lose a game this year.
They're juggernauts right now.
Houston and Cincinnati are like the ones that are like, okay, fire them up, good play. But then it's Cleveland, then it's Baltimore, then it's Tampa, and then Carolina to close the season. So it's tough matchup-wise. Even though he's 95% rostered, I'm like, is he really doing enough from a fantasy perspective? He's doing enough for his team, but is he doing enough from a fantasy perspective? He's only tossed 5 touchdowns this year. And in the last 3 weeks, it was 1 each week.
Yeah, that's pretty tough for fantasy because you have to expect at least a touchdown each week. And
right. So that was my first one. The second one, though, Jared Goff's available. And I like Goff, but Goff's a little inconsistent. So he had 14, 23, 19, 12, 27. But he also has some tough games coming up. But I think he's got an easy second half of the year, which makes me interested in him because I still have Deshaun Watson to kind of like use as a dual threat. So the next 2 weeks, it's Tampa Bay, Baltimore for Jared Goff. Going to be tough, but he'll be throwing a lot in those games.
He always throws a lot.
But then down the stretch of the year, he's playing the Chargers in week 10, the Bears in week 11. Chargers are 4th best for quarterbacks. The Bears are 1. Then he plays the Bears again in week 14. He plays Denver in week 15, who is 2nd best for quarterbacks, and Minnesota in week 16. Yeah. And then he plays Dallas in week 17, but I don't have to start him in the fantasy championships. If I'm there, I can figure out what to do next. But that seems like matchup-wise, he seems like the better option. Am I right?
I would go with Jared Goff, but someone that I picked up last week, is Sam Howell available?
He is, but I'd rather have Brock Purdy, who's still available.
Oh, I'd get Brock Purdy. Or CJ Stroud is destined to throw an interception at some point, but he's had 300 yards.
That's every crazy game. That is true. He's owned, though. CJ Stroud is already owned.
Yeah.
But Brock Purdy, 16, 14, and then he went 20, 21, 26, but he had 4 touchdowns against Dallas, which was insane. He completely dusted the Dallas defense. But Brock Purdy, I think, is not a bad one either. I just don't know if I pick up Trevor Lawrence. I'm not sold. I should be, but I'm not. Like, that's the worry. That's the world I live in right now, where Trevor Lawrence is available, and I'm thinking about not picking him up.
It was just weird. Like, this game, the game in London was an ugly football game.
Oh, it absolutely was.
Like, they got it done, but ETN, did he have 2 touchdowns? Because he finally ETN's finally gotten his stride now, which is what we were kind of waiting for.
Yes, he did have 2 touchdowns. Sorry, I was in the midst of adding Jared Goff.
So you're going with Goff?
I'm going to add Brock Purdy, too. I don't even care. I'm having 4 quarterbacks on my team. Anthony Richardson's on the IR, so it's going to be 3, but I'm going to have 4 on my team.
I mean, Brock Purdy, I played him in our league this week.
And somebody's bound to add him. Mm-hmm. So I might as well just try to get them both and see which one I get.
I mean, I played Purdy in our league this week instead of Dak Prescott, and it worked out pretty well for us.
Gosh, my bench is so good in this league. My bench, Tank Dell, Jonathan Taylor, Drake London, Kendre Miller. But Kendre's more of a handcuff for if Kamara gets hurt. So I'm just holding on to him right now. So I really only have room for 1 quarterback. Well, I'm going to go home and really think about this move.
So how is your getting to, are you still above $100 in your bets? Or were you off last week?
So I was off last week because I was back home, which is why we didn't have a show. So we appreciate all of you sticking around and waiting for us. I was off last week because my sister got married. So I did not go to Warhorse Casino, but I will go this week, and we are still up from 2 weeks before. So we have money in the bank. I think we're up like $80. $80 isn't bad.
It's not bad at all. I mean, George Kittle said he should be hammering a Christian McCaffrey anytime touchdown. I cannot blame him.
Well, how do you not hammer that every time?
Some people don't. Some people. I saw some guy that was like, "I'm going to fade Christian McCaffrey each week," and I was like, "How has that gone for you?"
Oh, thanks. Appreciate you.
Like, why? You're just literally giving money back to the casino at that point.
Yeah, pretty crazy. But all in all, I was really ecstatic about how my fantasy week shook out. I won in all 3 of my leagues. It was a sweat in some of them, but it turned into a controllable victory by the time Sunday was over. But yeah, like I'm gonna read you this, man. Justin Jefferson, James Conner, Khalil Herbert, all doubtful moving forward right now because Khalil Herbert got the high ankle sprain. So Roshan Johnson, hey, pick him up. Add to it. Roshan's going to be a great ad this week.
We almost lost to Anna this week with she had 2 players on the bye.
Hey, all I'm hearing is ugly wins are wins.
They are. They are. I was sweating it and I was like, wow, oh boy.
Ugly wins are wins. Roshan Johnson, 41% owned, by the way. He is in concussion protocol. I don't know who comes next, but high ankle sprain still is going to hold out Khalil for a little while. So he is the ad in that backfield.
I would have us do our pick'ems, but Cam's not here.
Let's do it. Let's just do it.
Do our pick'ems?
Here, we'll ask Siri what team she would rather have for Cam.
Okay. Alrighty.
I'm sure that is just as
fair.
Well, I was going to say, like, that's how Cam pretty much operates. He just says a team, and if it's Kansas City, he'll choose them. Yeah. But yes, that is. I think that's Cam in a nutshell. All right, so hit me with it.
Eagles, Bengals.
Eagles, Bengals. Give me the Eagles. What do you like?
I'm gonna go with the Bengals. I think they're gonna get a sneaky win.
Not this week.
I'm gonna regret it, but we will see. All right. Now we ask Siri.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Hey Siri, pick the Eagles or the Bengals. Oh yeah, Eastern Washington against Idaho State. That's what I asked.
So Eagles.
Here, Eagles. Are they the away team or the home team?
They would be. I meant the Seahawks. I was looking at 2 things. It's Seahawks Bengals, so that changes everything.
Well, yeah, no wonder you picked the freaking Bengals. Are you kidding me?
It's
he's just setting me up for failure over here. Hey, let me give you 2 teams that actually aren't playing each other, and then like I'm automatically winning. That went through your head. Let me double check your work, man. Come on.
Seahawks Bengals. Okay. We will restart.
Seahawks Bengals at home. Bengals are playing better. I will take the Seahawks off the bye.
Okay. All right. The Bengals are the home team. Seahawks are visiting.
Okay, so I'm going to say heads or tails because she's better at predicting that.
Yeah.
Heads will be home. Heads for home. Tails will be away. Okay. Hey, Siri, flip a coin. It's heads.
All right. The Bengals.
Why didn't she say that out loud? But I'll show everybody. There's its heads. Okay, next one.
Next one is going to be the Patriots and the Raiders.
Patriots, Raiders. Well, the Patriots are horrific. The Raiders aren't any better. We talked about on the show today that Bill Belichick may be out of a job by season's end. He may be out of a job before that, which would be really weird. So because of that, because of all the talk, Bill Belichick will want to shut it down. I'm going to go the Patriots. I'm going to try to get a sneaky 17-7 win.
Yeah, Do I want to really go with the Raiders?
Are the Raiders at home again?
Yes.
Yeah, give me Bill in Las Vegas. Because he's reuniting with Josh McDaniels. He's not going to want his understudy winning. I'm gonna go with the Pats.
I'm gonna go with the Pats too. I can't. I was trying to find ways to root for the Raiders, and I just can't.
Hey Siri, flip a coin. Tails. Is that the Pats?
That's the Raiders. No, it'd be the Pats. Yeah, so we all have the Pats.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. Our first, all the same for the whole year.
Dang it, Siri. All right, last one. Make it like Monday Night Football.
I was gonna do Cowboys Chargers.
Is that Monday
That's
Night
Football?
Oh, how about that? Look at me. Here I am. Love me. All right.
Cowboys
Chargers. Man. The Cowboys had their ugly game last week, and that tends to happen. They play really good football, and then they play really ugly football. So if we look at the Cowboys, let me just search this real fast. Cowboys schedule. I know this doesn't sound overly prepared on my part because it's not prepared at all. It is off the cuff. Hey, don't scroll down, computer. It's cool. No. Oh, scroll down all the way this time. Nice. Okay. So, yeah, they had that gross one against the Cardinals, right? They were dominating. They dominated the Giants. They dominated the Jets. And then they lost to the Cardinals. And it was like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Then they killed the Patriots and got dominated by the 49ers. Now, that wasn't a weird one, but still, they got dominated. They shouldn't have gotten dominated in that game. I'm going to take the Cowboys. I'm going to go with the Cowboys here. I like that team better defensively than I like the Chargers. And I think Dak Prescott bounces back. I'm going to go with the Cowboys.
I'm going to go with the Chargers.
So I think I took all road teams. On the road again. All right. Hey, Siri. Hey, Siri. Hey, Siri. About damn time. Heads or tails? I don't know how to respond to that. It's because I put about damn time. Pick heads or tails. Flip a coin. Oh, it's heads. Home team.
Chargers.
Technology can either be your best friend or your worst enemy. And right now it's my best friend because all my fantasy teams are located on technology.
How do you think they did fantasy football before you had a laptop?
No, well, they wrote it. Like, have you ever read I think it's called Fantasy Life by Matthew Berry?
I read that in junior high. I don't remember it very well, but I do remember reading about it.
Yeah, he talks about it's exactly what it is, Fantasy Life. I am so good. He talks about what it was like before technology and the amount of statistical. Notice how my S's caught me up there. Did I ever tell you I had a lisp growing up?
I remember you talking about it on the show once.
Yeah, I had a lisp, and it's because I couldn't say my S's properly. So if I have to say a lot of S's in a row like I just did right now, notice how I enunciated all my S's as I'm talking to you. I tried to say right?
Yep.
Statistical, right? Yeah. And that's what it came out as because I'm talking so fast and I say statistical. Notice how I slow myself down and I can say it. Little TED Talk there from your boy, Andrew. But they had to do all of those notes by hand. It was crazy. And can you imagine the draft? Like, I love doing the draft on like a whiteboard.
Oh, yeah.
And then putting all the guys into the system. I would not like doing it on a whiteboard, then trying to like write it down on a sheet of paper and then follow their stat lines to a T because what do you find those in the paper? Like, is that where you find it the next day? The box scores in the paper? Where do you find that information without technology? Because we have it. We have box scores on our phone that we just go to and we can be like, oh, okay, Travis Etienne ran 10 times for 75 yards, a touchdown, had 4 catches, 45 yards, and a touchdown. Okay?
Yeah.
Well, we can do that math. But where do I find that back in the 80s or the 90s when they were playing?
You just don't. That's always something.
Was it the 80s? Did they have computers in the 90s?
Well, they did, but they weren't the greatest. They're pretty slow. So, I mean,
whenever they didn't have like fantasy platforms or the ability for that, I think it's crazy. It was a great book.
Yeah, I went on the rabbit hole of Super Bowl halftime shows. That's interesting.
Today?
The other day.
Like,
the Super Bowl
Why? Because
halftime
you were like really into Usher?
No, it was just the.
Yeah. That's what you're supposed to say. Come on, you blew it.
I'm sorry.
So why were you on the Super Bowl? Jeez, again, the S word. Why were you on not the other one? Why were you on Super Bowl halftime kicks?
I was on YouTube and it was this recommended football videos because I was watching this recap of the week and it popped up like a tier list of all the Super Bowl halftime shows.
Okay.
And so they started in the
clickbait, but okay.
Yeah, they got me there. And they used to just have like Disney on Ice would be like a halftime show kind of. Like they just have like Disney songs and they do like with costumes and stuff.
So are you a halftime guy?
Yeah.
I'm not. But I don't love concerts. So that's why I'm not a halftime guy.
I love concerts.
So the last concert that I went to was actually up in Lincoln. It was Kenny Chesney, Kelsey Ballerini. But I love country music. So like I'm cool with that because those are all songs that I grew up on. So I know them. But I don't really listen to music anymore because I'm a big podcast guy when I drive in the car, or I'll just listen to sports radio. So because I don't listen to a lot of new music, it's hard for me to go to a concert because I feel like I'm trying too hard to sing a song that I don't know the words to.
Yeah.
Or I'm just kind of like standing there like, okay, like it's a nice song. Like I'm hearing the lyrics, but I can't like sing. Concerts are meant for you to like belt out the words.
Yeah.
You're getting drunk and you are just belting out like Luke Combs lyrics, or you're belting out Travis Scott lyrics, or whatever you're into, that's what you're belting out. But if I don't know those songs, like it's not worth my time.
No. Yeah. It was just so weird because they had like an Elvis impersonator one time and he just didn't know how to lip sing at all. His name was Elvis Presto.
Thing?
It was Elvis Presto. I'm serious.
Like what year was that?
Oh. When did Elvis Presto perform?
That's funny, though, how they just transitioned from all of that to what they do today.
1989.
You know, you have to pay to be in the halftime show now, right? Like artists pay to play and perform.
So why is Usher paying?
So he's releasing an album the day before.
This guy.
So it's a great marketing tactic.
Yeah.
But you have to pay to perform at the halftime show.
Because usually what people do is they pay and then they go on tour.
Well, the reason that you have to pay for it, too, is it's one of the most watched events in the world.
Oh, yeah.
So if you know you're going to have, let's just call it 100 million. It's probably more, but 100 million eyes on this game. Because why do people watch the Super Bowl? Not just because the two best teams are playing for a trophy.
Commercials.
The commercials and the halftime show, right? That's why a lot of people watch. Like that's why my sisters, my mom, my fiance all watch because of the commercials, which haven't lived up to lived up to the standard of what they used to be. Like the Bud Light commercials were hilarious. Now it's just all political. But they were hilarious growing up. The Doritos commercials were hilarious. And there are some that are like, I like that one. But when I say some, it's like one or two. It's not like 10 or 11.
It's just let's get who used to be popular promoting our product.
So that's why a lot of people watch Super Bowl, though. So that's why they make these artists pay. So it's really strategic for Usher to release this album the day before he's going to perform it, because those that like Usher or those that just want to like remember the great Usher songs, they're going to look up Usher on Spotify or Apple Music. They're going to find that he released a new album. They're going to be, oh my gosh, I got to listen to it. And Usher's actually kind of a big name because was he on The Voice? Is he still on The Voice?
He used to be on The Voice.
So he used to be on The Voice. So he picked up a following there too. It's a really good idea for, is it the NFL that makes them pay, or would it be the TV provider of the Super Bowl? Probably the NFL.
It'd be NFL because they have contracts with the TV providers.
Right. So there you go. Little history lesson for you and me, because obviously I didn't realize that they had an Elvis impersonator. It would be cool if they did like a magic show. Like, like
something like that.
Really?
It was just like spectacle stuff. It was weird.
No, see, I meant more like Matt Franco from America's Got Talent or something like that. Or do you remember those guys on AGT that were like the glow light people?
Yes.
Like the dancers or whatever. And they put on, like, that would be sick.
I know they did the Blues Brother, but the Blue Man Group, I think they did it once maybe.
The Blue Man Group. The only Blue Man Group reference I know is from Arrested Development.
But yeah, I could go on a tangent about this for so long, but I'm not going to waste.
Yeah, we got to save it. We got to save it.
Yeah, got to save it. All right. Thank you guys for listening. We'll be back next week. Yep.